Welcome to the Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation, where we explore key issues and compelling stories in the trucking industry. I'm your host, Sage Anderson, and you're listening to episode 89, Truck Talk. Join us today inside of a 2023 Freightliner Cascadia lounge sleeper with Mirror Eye technology. Thanks, Clark Reed. James and Tony are going to take us inside this truck, and they're going to uncover what is Smart Eye technology. They'll talk about some innovation over the years, our fleet history, and our maintenance standards. So now, here it is, our featured exchange.
So you got a unique video coming from the shop today. James Greer, the Director of Fleet Service, and I've got Tony Morthland with me today. He's the Equipment and Facilities Director here at Nussbaum. And we wanted to go over some of the history of Nussbaum and why we make the decisions that we make when it comes to equipment and how we handle the maintenance on our equipment. So, Tony, if we could just dive right in, and if you could kind of give us an overview of Nussbaum and their history with Freightliner.
So Nussbaum, and I'll go kind of back before I even started. So I started in January of 2011, but before that, I worked for a dealership, and we actually did contract maintenance with all of Nussbaum's equipment. So back when they come out of the LTL business and went into truckload business, Nussbaum started out a lot of used equipment, few new. A lot of it was Volvo. There was some Kenworth product in the fleet, and I kept buying that. And along in the 2010 range, they decided to reach out to Freightliner because they were looking at being more efficient, and they wanted to try something different. And they were following a fleet that had kind of been leading the way for fuel mileage for a while. And so they reached out to Freightliner. Freightliner was interested in it, and the partnership became then. We started out with 10 Freightliners in 2010, I believe, and then we got 25 of them in 2011. And these were 6x2s. This was the first that we had in the fleet. We'd tried wide base tires, we've tried duals, we tried 6x4s, we've tried 6x2s. And the 6x2 match at the time, wide base tires was the most efficient. That's when costs were starting to go up, and we had to try something different. So that's where it all began. And so the partnership with Freightliner has matured, and it's been so far been great. And we're 100% Freightliner at this point in time, and there's no turning back.
So when it came to that relationship getting started with Freightliner, was it always truck centers that we started that relationship with, or did we kind of deal with other dealers?
Now, Truck Centers was the very first people. It was back when Phil Breaker was here and Brent was involved in it, and they started the discussions with Truck Centers, and Truck Centers has been our partnership ever since, and they're great people to work with. Any questions, any problems that we have, they deal with it pretty quickly, and the relationship has got well enough overall now that we can actually go straight to the engineers, let them know if we have any problems get taken care of very quickly.
So when it comes to like service availability, did that have anything to do with your decision when it came to Freightliner, or was it all just the efficiency and innovation?
So there was a small portion of that. So when we had Volvos, there was only maybe a couple hundred Volvo shops across the country, and it made it difficult to try to get in, or you had to tow it 100 miles to get somewhere to get it taken care of. So that was another piece of it that we looked at. Freightliner, has got 35%, I think, of the market share right now, and there's about 350, 400 shops throughout the United States, and so it makes it a lot easier for us to get in and try to get the equipment taken care of.
So that kind of plays into the next topic. There is kind of our standard of maintenance practices, and having that dealer network and that availability kind of helps us deliver on what we aim for. And like most things when it comes to Nussbaum, is we've got a high standard of excellence, and we aim for that when it comes to maintenance. And for the technicians, that's an extremely difficult task, because when you're driving down these interstates, it's very hard not to notice a Nussbaum truck. When they've got that MirrorEye system or those solar panels mounted on the truck, it's very easy to catch your eye, and it's very hard to miss. And the last thing we want as a maintenance department is to have people see those broken down on the side of the interstate. So we pride ourselves on our PM schedules and our PM program. So ultimately our goal is to go from PM to PM without hiccup, without a driver having to experience a breakdown event. However, it's not a perfect world, so there is a chance that that's going to happen. And when things like that do happen, ultimately, if it's bad enough, we will create secondary PMs that are specific to Nussbaum equipment. And I think when we run a fleet fully Freightliner, it makes that easier, because we know with one make, if this is happening on that model year, we're probably going to see a trend, so we can develop a PM to hopefully combat that and reduce the impact that it has on our drivers. And part of this maintenance program that we've got, we do rely heavily on drivers to communicate with us. When you are experiencing an issue, no matter how big or small that issue is, we want drivers to feel comfortable reaching out to us, because we want to address it prior to it becoming a much larger issue if it's going to. So now that we've kind of spoken on our standard when it comes to maintaining our equipment, I'd like to just kind of answer that question for the drivers. I know it's changed quite a bit over the years, especially recently with the equipment constraints and supply chain issues. But how long are we currently keeping our trucks for?
So right now, our goal is to run them about 650,000 miles. During COVID and even post-COVID, we've got trucks. I mean, we got one truck at 760,000 miles. We haven't quite got caught up yet because of allocation issues with getting new equipment. So we're hoping this year that we can kind of get back on that cycle again. We should be towards the third quarter of this year. We should start being able to sell trucks that's in the higher 600,000 mile mark. By the time we get done selling at the end of the year, we should be down to about 630, 640,000 miles. So we should be back on track again.
And we've kind of felt that squeeze here in maintenance as far as the techs are concerned, because with the time frames that these trucks, these trailers are coming in, it's really putting a strain on the shop, because normally you're stretching those purchases over across a 12-month period, and here we're getting them bunched up in, 6 to 8 months. So we've got a much tighter time frame to turn these trucks and get them prepped for our drivers.
Yeah, so we usually set these trucks up and work on them pretty much the same as we do a new hire, because we have a really good rapport with buyers, and I haven't even had to advertise in probably the last 3 years, just because I've got a waiting list. So we tend to make sure the trucks are right before they get sold, and the Freightliner product is pretty easy to sell. A lot of our secondary buyers can go clear to a million one miles before they'll be looking for another truck. So Freightliner's a pretty good truck to try to sell.
So you mentioned selling the trucks, and I wanted to kind of share something unique about our fleet that it kind of shocks our buyers, and you shared it with us the other day. So we run our trucks 75,000 miles between the oil service, and whenever it comes to selling these trucks, the buyers are pretty shocked that we can expand our PM that long.
Yeah, most of the small fleets around, they still believe in a 10, 15, 20,000 mile oil service. So, I mean, we're running 75,000 miles on them. We actually tested some synthetic oil a few years ago, and we were running 150,000 miles on the oil, and still had good luck with it. But we usually switch around 500,000 miles, drop the oil services down to 50,000 miles, just because the truck's getting older, and we want to see it more. And plus, it helps with buyers feel more comfortable that, we're running 75,000 miles on the oil change. But we take oil samples. They come back great. There's no reason to look backwards.
Really speaks to the innovation and quality in the manufacturing process when it comes to Freightliners in Detroit over the competition there. When it comes to our trucks, how's that kind of broken up when you're looking at dry van, flatbed?
So right now we got 550 trucks. We got about, I think, 16 current flatbed trucks. We're running around 1,300 van trailers right now, and we've got about 19 flatbeds, around 10 step decks, and 8 reefers. Is kind of how the whole fleet is set up right now.
Okay. Well, we had a unique question from the drivers, and part of it's kind of how drivers get assigned their trucks. And there's really 2 scenarios here. We've got our new drivers that are coming into Nussbaum, and then we've got drivers that already have a truck and are operating for Nussbaum. And when are they kind of eligible for that next truck? So I kind of wanted to share how the shop looks at that, and then how operations is involved as well, and how the driver can impact that movement. So first, we'll hit the new drivers. When they're coming to Nussbaum, the maintenance team, they're going to look at where that driver's domiciling at, how frequently they're potentially going to get to a Nussbaum facility, as well as how often they're in that truck and out of it for the weekends. If there's somebody that is a road warrior and they live in that truck, we want to give them something a little newer. If they domicile here at Nussbaum, we know we're going to have eyes on that truck every weekend, maybe every 2 weeks. So we know we can give them a slightly older tractor and make sure that we can maintain these trucks and hopefully reduce any breakdown events that these drivers are going to experience. So that's kind of how we make those decisions on what driver is going to get what truck when they join Nussbaum. So when it comes to existing Nussbaum drivers and when they're going to be eligible for another truck, the bulk of that lays on the driver. Their operations and shop work together in this decision, but once operations sees that a driver's score is high enough and they've been here over a year, then they're eligible to get into a new tractor. And they'll communicate with the shop and ask if there are any maintenance concerns, whether that's truck cleanliness, because we've got a tractor cleanliness inspection that we do at every PM to make sure that drivers are maintaining these. When our drivers go into our customers, there's a Nussbaum banner on the side of each truck, and we want to make sure that we're representing Nussbaum well. So we try to make sure that we incentivize the drivers to keep these tractors clean. So tractor cleanliness and tractor upkeep, drivers that tend to report issues more frequently and get to us so that we can make these repairs, they've got a good relationship built with the shop, and we know that if we put them in a new truck, they're really going to maintain it. So ultimately, we work hand in hand with operations to kind of make those decisions, but we really rely on the driver to communicate with the shop when it comes to these maintenance events or keeping their tractor clean, so that ultimately they can move into a newer tractor sooner. So back on the topic of tractors, so innovation, there's been a lot of talk about EV, hydrogen. How has kind of Freightliner adapted to the changes in the industry, and what kind of innovations coming our way at Nussbaum?
So at Nussbaum, I don't know where we're going to stand in the future. I mean, we've looked at electric, we've looked at hydrogen. There's several different aspects out there. Right now, with the way we currently run, we really don't have a good place to use electric at this point in time, until electric would get advanced enough to be able to run, 500 to 800 miles. If we had to do something tomorrow, we'd probably be looking at possibly either hydrogen or hydrogen cell. They can go 8 to 1,000 miles. So right now we're just kind of hoping that with Freightliner and the advancements that they're making on the equipment, and we're one of the few that can say that we can actually get 10, 11 miles a gallon.
So you're talking about the innovation that's going specifically. So we're in Clark Reed's truck right now, 1782. When it comes to this tractor, what sort of innovation have we put on this truck, as well as some future trucks that we're receiving this year? What kind of new technology are we trying out?
So on Clark's truck alone, he's one of the first one that gets what they're calling a Gen 5 engine. And there's a lot of parts inside that's changed, hopefully make them run longer. It's got a bigger turbo. They're doing different things with injectors to try to get the fuel to atomize a lot better, to try to get better performance and better fuel mileage out of it. This particular truck is a lounge unit. The lounge units came out in model year 2018. And we did get quite a few of them that first year. And just for a test, we basically tried it. And the drivers usually have a love-hate relationship with them because they either love them because they want the table. The downside is they do have a lack of storage. So we do put a toolbox on the backside to help with some extra storage in there. But overall, I think there's a lot of guys that want them. But then depends on what they're using. If we have trainers out there, a lot of times they like them just because they can sit down here with their trainee and talk things over and be able to do the things they do. But this truck also, we have Mirai on it. So Mirai, we've been experimenting now for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And they first came out with Gen 1, and we had some decent amount of problems. We had drivers trying to adapt to them. The night vision wasn't quite as good as what we thought it was going to be, and we had a little bit of clarity issue. We had some challenges. Now this particular truck has what they call Gen 2 in it. So they've increased the pixels in the cameras so that you can see a lot better looking out the cameras and the displays. The nighttime vision, they added another IR light that helps with far away. So seems like the drivers that have them now like it. There's still a few little challenges that we're trying to work around, but especially bad weather. If it's heavy rain, snow, you can see through the cameras a lot better than you can even see out the windshield. So that's the main reason why we're testing them and looking at them. There's some people that don't like them because, when you're looking in a mirror, you're basically looking at a reflection, where the cameras, and a lot of you probably have cars that have backup cameras or what have you, and they might have the little bit of a fisheye look to it, or it looks like you're looking through possibly a TV set or something like that. So it takes a little bit to get used to. And then we've got an issue with people that wear glasses. Depending on their eyesight, there might be some challenges there. So we've got a lot of people that's interested in doing the Mirais. We don't know how many we're going to test. We're trying to get these 30 that we've got from last year upgraded to Gen 2s and get them rolling. Then we might consider looking at others, but we don't know yet. We just want to get all the bugs worked out of them, make drivers feel comfortable about what they're doing with them, and checking the safety aspect of our product here that we're looking at. The other items in these trucks, it's got the side radar. This truck is also a 6x4, so a lot of you drivers that's been around for a while have dealt with the 6x2s over the years. And the reason why we got away from a 6x2 is mainly because Freightliner wasn't going to put the money into engineering the rear end to gear down compared to what we're doing now. So we couldn't get the lower RPMs that this engine is. This engine here actually has peak torque at 950 RPMs, where the old engines was like 1100 to 1150 RPMs. You had peak torque. So this one, is supposed to be more efficient. So we didn't get rid of the 6x2s just because nobody liked them or we had a bunch of problems with them. We actually went to 6x4s because there's possibly another test we're doing that we have what they call disconnectable tandems. So it's actually a 6x4 when you start the truck up, and at 35 mile an hour, they actually switch over and make a 6x2. Kind of like your car. If you got an all-wheel drive car, it runs on one axle, and you start to spin, and it connects to the second axle. It's exactly how these are. So they're supposed to be more efficient, not much weight losses in it. You still got the second rear end, but we're looking at that because we can get a 216 rear end ratio, which makes it better for fuel mileage, and possibly we're testing a 205 rear end ratio to see how that works out with several of our applications. You know, we run in the Midwest here. We got a lot of guys going out west, so we're running through the mountains. We're running heavy loads. We're running light loads just to see how these trucks do. So we're constantly testing trucks every year, and Freightliner allows us to do that because we have a great partnership with them.
So a lot of changes are still to come. And with that, I kind of wanted to share kind of how that impacts the shop and impacts the tech. So it comes to play with the Mirai system or the Gen 5. We tend to get this software, these innovations early, and it adds an added challenge to our technicians where now they've got to troubleshoot something, and the only source for reference they've got is either an engineer that we can hopefully get on the phone, or it's with their fellow teammates here at Nussbaum, because when it comes to trucks that have been out for a while with older innovations, there's a whole network out there. With DT&H Solutions, we can reach out there for any questions that we might have. And when it comes to our techs, we've had driver growth of over 60 drivers in the last year. And I just wanted to give a good shout out to the technicians on the job that they've been doing. I looked last year to just see kind of how much work that we've thrown out through these two shops between Hudson and Shanahan. And we had a little over 8,000 repair orders done. We've got, over the last year, we've had a rolling average of probably about 34, 35 technicians. So roughly doing about 750 repair orders a month, which kind of blew my mind when I read that number. And all that is in an effort to keep our drivers moving and keep this fleet operating. So thanks to the techs for all the hard work that they do, and thanks for all the drivers that report these issues and bring them to our attention once they're aware of them, so that we can get them up and running sooner. And lastly, just thanks to all the employee owners out there for any part that you play in your role here at Nussbaum to keep our drivers moving. So we hit on innovation, and Tony mentioned the Mirai system. Would you mind just giving us a quick overview of that system?
Yeah, so inside the cab here, you've got 3 actual displays. They're basically replacing the mirrors that you're actually seeing. And you got one in the center that kind of covers one of the cameras from the outside to the right side, gets your blind spots. Then you've got your display on the left side and one on the right. You've got basically the same look as your mirrors. You've got a main display, and then underneath you have what you would see with your spot mirror that gives you a wider angle of everything. The good thing of this, you have daytime, you've got night vision. You can actually zoom in if you want to look deeper, closer to the back of the trailer when you're backing in. These things are great because they pan out, I believe it's 15%. So when you're making a turn, it's actually following the back of the trailer. It doesn't follow you clear to a 90 degree, but it's awesome because you can actually see what's going on back there.
So Tony, do you have any closing words?
So the one thing I want to do, you know, we say that the techs are doing a great job, and most all of them are doing a great job. We've got a lot of challenges in this shop as far as electronics, different problems like that. You got emission problems. You know, we've got challenges even getting parts. So trying to keep this fleet going is we're doing a great job. But the 2 people I want to really give a shout out to, and I actually hired both of them, and they've both become foremen. But Dalton Hodel, he's always kind of been my right-hand man / pain in the rear / need to put my foot somewhere. But he's really come a long way, and he's running the shop now, and he's doing a great job. I try not to admit that to him because I need to make him stay better all the time. And then the same thing, Ben Lockwood is running the trailer shop out there, and he actually started as a temp employee when we started putting skirts and tails on clear back in 2011, and we hired him full time, and he's always kind of been on the trailer side and been our prep guy and special projects guy and kind of a little bit of everything, and now he's a foreman out there in the trailer shop running that. So both these guys are doing a great job, and most of the drivers all know them, and have talked to them, and I just want to thank both of them.
Hi everyone, this is CJ from Recruiting at Nussbaum, and I'd love to answer any questions you have about driving with us. Give us a call at 309-268-1199 or visit nussbaumjobs.com. Talk to you soon. You've been listening to Terminal Exchange, the official podcast of Nussbaum Transportation. If you're enjoying our content, please leave us a review. Your reviews help us spread the word about these important topics and invite more people into the conversation. You can rate and review us on your podcast app or visit us online at terminalexchange.org. New episodes arrive every other Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Nussbaum on your favorite social media platforms and be the first to know when new episodes are released. Thanks for listening. Until next time, own every moment and stay purpose-driven.